Let me start by telling you a story, and this is a real life story. I was walking down the alley with a friend, down the mall, and there was this guy, you know these guys, who sold perfumes in the middle of the alley. Of course, he started calling us, come, perfumes, my friend, I'll sell you some perfumes, cheap. Of course, I have a perfume. So I decided to ignore my friend and keep walking. Suddenly, he came to me, and instead of speaking in English, he started speaking to me in Arabic, specifically Egyptian Arabic. I've heard it enough that I can recognize it. Hello, my friend, where are you from? Brother, buy me some perfumes, of course. I just looked at him, and I'm like, I don't understand anything you're saying. And he got really confused. He's like, wait, are you not Egyptian? And I'm like, no, I'm Mexican. He laughed. He didn't believe me. Apparently, he thought it was a joke. And I looked at him, and I'm like, no, my friend, I'm Mexican. He gets happy. He laughs. Yeah, whatever you say, brother, buy me some perfumes. He got so happy I looked Egyptian, and he thought I was Egyptian, that he gave me 4 perfumes for the price of 1. So it was pretty nice. These and many other experiences I've found when I came to study to the other side of the world, in Abu Dhabi. And yes, I am Mexican, but I had never had to say that before in Mexico. After all, we're all Mexicans. It was until I got here, and until my plane landed, and until I was face to face with someone from another country who had never met a Mexican before, that I had to explain who I was, who my people were, and everything that made me. This, I've found, has changed my life. And I've come to understand how powerful conversations with other people can be, specifically in environments full of diversity. So, today, I come to talk to you about the power of conversations in environments of diversity. In my time at NYU, in the past 2 years, I'm in my 2nd year, I have learned lots about myself. I have learned lots about other people. And I have learned lots of the things we share, and the things that make all of us the same kind of people. Now, the truth is that I don't consider myself the best Mexican. I cannot dance at all. I am not too loud, although I'm kind of loud. I am proud of my country, but I don't know too much about it. After all, after people ask me questions, I don't really know what to say. So yeah, back at home I did not consider myself the best Mexican. But when I came here, I found that I, at some situations, was the only Mexican. So I had to talk and raise my voice to defend who I was and what I thought. And I found out that many times, I actually did not know who I was, and I did not know what I thought. So through these conversations with other people, especially people who are not like me, I've come to learn many things about myself. So I'm going to talk about how conversations help us understand ourselves and develop our identities, how conversations help us understand others, and how conversations help us build bridges in between these two, and how this affects all of us, and how this can change the world. So, I'm going to start talking about how conversations through diversity can change and can affect who we are, and also what we think about ourselves. And I'll start with a personal example, and something that I consider essential to my identity. So, I'm a Christian. When I told my parents that I wanted to study in the other side of the world, in a predominantly Muslim country, it would be expectable that they got really nervous, and also really confused. I remember the words of my mom, of course in Spanish, I'll translate for you guys. Son, why are you going to the other side of the world? It's so far away, and what if there's no church there? What if there's no Christians there? What if you can't bring your Bible into the country? I had come for candidate weekend, and I was able to explain to her that that was not the case. Still, because of the media and many other things, our perception of this place was completely different to what the place is actually like. Still, when I came and I found my Muslim friends, or friends from other religions, or friends from other races, or friends from other parts of the world, and I engaged in conversation, I discovered how much of my own faith was lacking, and how much I needed to grow. And that is what has happened. Contrary to what my mother and my family believed, being in an environment where not everyone around me is a Christian or a Catholic has actually made me grow. Lots. As I have been questioned about who I am, why I think what I think, whether I'm wrong or whether I'm right, I have been transformed. And I've found that I have strengthened my identity. Another example. Back in high school and middle school, I was this short, chubby kid. I know it's hard to believe, but if you come to me, I'll show you pictures. I have tons. And I was also really shy. I was the kind of kid who would sit either in the back, so no one would talk to him, or in the front, so no one would talk to him. And I would spend lunchtime in the classroom either doing homework or doing origami or doing other things that I could do on my own. I was a shy kid. I was like that until high school, and then things changed a bit, but not too much. So imagine what my parents thought when I said I wanted to fly to the other side of the world where I knew no one liked me. They were super scared. But I came, and I found out that I was transformed. As I went to conversations, and I was forced into conversations with other people, and I saw that I could learn so much from them, that shy part of me started to disappear. I still enjoy me time, but I've discovered that spending time with other people is an amazing experience, especially those people are completely different from you. So yes, when I came here, and when I began to have these conversations with people that were not like me, I found that I was able to strengthen my identity and discover that I'm not just a Mexican, but that I am who I am. Now, the other part of conversations and the power of them is their ability to help us discover what other people are like. And I'll give a very simple example, and that is of Arab people. So as I mentioned before, being a Mexican and never traveling but to the US, I knew nothing about the Middle East. My parents knew nothing about the Middle East. My grandparents knew nothing about the Middle East, and my church knew nothing about the Middle East, except what we saw in the media, except what we saw in the news, except what we saw in the newspapers. And as you may know, many of the things are not good. Differently from what I expected, as soon as I landed, I found that there are people, and the people of the Middle East is amazing. And I found that everything that I thought was completely wrong, and that everything my parents thought was completely wrong, and that many of the things that my entire country thinks are completely wrong. I came to find that we in fact have many, many things in common, which I will elaborate in a second. But what I'm trying to say is that through these conversations, I was able to see things about others that I would not be able to understand otherwise. In those one-on-one conversations at 3 a.m. with my Muslim Emirati friend, is that I learned so much about who they were. Not anything I could read on the internet or hear other people talk about, but face to face. Now, as I mentioned, the power of conversations also helps us understand what the in-between is, and what are the things that make us human. Once again, I'm here after traveling from the other side of the world, which is really far away. And I've come to discover that, I'll use the same example, Arab people, and in my case, Mexicans, are very, very similar, which is weird and uncanny. First of all, I'll give you some examples. First of all, we are very loud. Second of all, we have really long names. You saw my name, and it's missing a couple. Third, we are very prideful in our food, and our grandmas love to feed us until we explode. Although I'm pretty sure that's international, not just in between the two of us. We are very familial. We love our families. And something interesting, and this is a word that makes every single Arab or Latino person tremble. The word in Arabic is ship-ship. Or the translation in Spanish is chancla. Now, for the non-Arabic or non-Spanish speakers, ship-ship or chancla translate to the shoe that our mothers or our grandmothers wear. In the Arab world, if you have noticed, children are super afraid of their grandmothers when they are misbehaving, because the grandmother will grab a shoe and will slap that kid. In Mexico, at least, I can tell you, it's much worse. Not only will your mother take her shoe off and hit you with it, if you're not 1 meter away, if you're 2, she'll throw it. And she'll hit you, regardless of what you do. What I'm trying to say, and I know these examples are very mundane, is that at least when I left home, I did not expect to see myself in a people that were not my own people, and see so much of my people in a group that was completely different. And all these things I've learned because I've engaged in conversations with others, and conversations where I'm willing to put myself and make myself vulnerable, and conversations in which I am very thankful other people have been willing to make themselves vulnerable and show me what their true colors are. Now, why does this matter? I'll stick to that. This matters because in a world where people put you in a box, as soon as they hear your nationality, and believe me, I'm Mexican, or where they put you in a box as soon as they hear your religion, or the color of your skin, it is important that we are willing to go outside and actually learn these things and learn what other people are like for ourselves. In a world where people want to build walls, we should be wanting to build bridges in between cultures, in between races, in between religions, in between nationalities. It took me going to the other side of the world to find out. So I'm here to tell you, and if you decide to believe me, that could really change your lives, or at least change your interactions with other people that are not like you. So, I am saying that through conversations, we are able to understand who we are, more than we would ever be able to understand it if we stayed in between people that we know and we feel comfortable in. Through conversations, we are able to learn about other people, more than we would be able to understand from the internet, or from the media, or from secondhand knowledge. And through conversations, we are able to understand the in-between. The things that we share, the things that we can share if we're willing to give in, and the things that we do not share as well. After all, those are the things that make us different. So, the question is not who you're going to talk to. And the question is not how far you're going to go to talk to a person that is completely different from you, or a person that is the same. Because I think everyone has a story, and everyone has something to tell that makes them special, regardless of who they are. The question is, how willing are we to listen? How willing are we to share from what we are? And how this can change our lives. Thank you.